money back to you.
Yeah.
So PMMC actually doesn't buy the gold directly. They may buy some. They may handle government's share of gold or something. But you are to use PMMC as a conduit to sell your gold on your behalf.
A middleman.
Like a middleman, like a broker. And they're paid a fee for that. So, and then the money comes back. Now, let's think about it. All the money comes back into our banking sector, whether it goes through Bank of Ghana by law or whether it goes through the commercial banks. So this is how we get our foreign exchange from gold. It goes through the banking sector because there are agreements that we sell the gold and they pay the money to us. A certain portion of the money comes in. A certain portion of the money is retained by these players to pay for their debt service, for the loans that they have to foreign banks and things like that. And some of them have agreements that are tied to that. So money comes into the banking sector. The problem we've had with oil mainly is that because oil is a very sensitive commodity in the country, because oil is, you have the very large ticket items. A cargo of oil of about 40,000 or 30,000 metric tons could cost you anything close to $30 billion. So you need this chunk of money to pay the suppliers abroad. So our foreign exchange comes in through cocoa, gold, oil, timber that we export, and we have to bring in petroleum products. So we get this foreign exchange coming in. The problem I have had personally with Bank of Ghana is that we need a more structured approach of how we pay for our necessities. And one of the necessities is crude oil. So Bank of Ghana, I proposed long ago that Bank of Ghana should dedicate a certain flow of foreign exchange, and it should work either with the commercial banks and Bank of Ghana and the BDCs who import the oil, so that it is known how much money should be made available. And Bank of Ghana and the commercial banks will then agree how much Bank of Ghana will bring and how much the commercial banks will bring. Because my understanding is that the foreign exchange we get in this country, some passes through the commercial banks and some passes through Bank of Ghana. But Bank of Ghana, being the regulator and being the apex organization, is the conductor. It knows exactly how much is coming in and where it is being used. So Bank of Ghana can control the foreign exchange being used by not micromanaging them, but letting them know that you should report to us who you've sold foreign exchange to, especially the big tickets. Not if you, Mara, are traveling and you need $1,000.
Okay.
Not that. I'm talking
the bigger
about
numbers.
The big ticket numbers. So we should, as a country, prioritize which sectors and which payments we have to make. Debt service is one, oil is another, health and education and security. These are our key sectors that we have to prioritize. So Bank of Ghana just has to work with the banks, the commercial banks, and say, you guys need $350 to $400 million every month to make a payment.
For these areas?
Yeah, it is known. I mean, it's not like this month is 100 million and next month is 600 million. No.
It's almost constant.
It's almost constant. Fourth quarter is a little more than first quarter or second quarter.
The pressure.
But the variation is statistically insignificant.
Okay.
So it's almost the same every quarter. So I don't see how Bank of Ghana all of a sudden gets surprised that we need this money for petroleum. So let's come back to the gold for oil. So what Bank of Ghana is trying to do, and how I see it looking from the back, is basically allocate a certain amount of our foreign exchange for oil production, for oil purchases. But I'm talking about oil, I'm talking about finished products, because we do export crude oil.
Yeah.
And that's all they're doing. So if you take all the bells and whistles from all of it, all they're doing is there's certain foreign currency coming in, and we're going to use that foreign currency to pay for oil. Now they're talking about Bank of Ghana buying, or government of Ghana buying gold, selling the gold, and then using that money to buy. There are players already in the system, and I think it's going to cause a little chaos because now you are introducing another player in this whole gamut. First of all, the BDCs will not be happy because they're not even happy Boss brings products into the country. Now government is going to be a player and is going to use Boss Tamale Refinery or Go Energy, which is a private company, by the way. It's not government.
But there's a government interest.
There's a government interest, but it's a private company. They're going to use Go Energy as the BDC to do that. So they're basically using our foreign exchange to favor a certain player, although that player is government.
Okay, so
that's what they're doing in this whole thing.
all right, that player is government, and that player is us.
That's fine, absolutely.
Okay,
but if that's the case,
our
government should make it very clear to the players in the other things. It's not going to be a fair playing field. We government are going to take care of government, and you, the private players, you should take care of yourselves.
But should that not be the case?
I'm not saying it's not the case, but this is what you should tell people rather than say, oh, we're now doing a gold for oil barter swap, as if you are doing something different. You're not doing something different.
Let's look at the positive side. So the argument that BOST puts across, and BOST is the agent of government that is leading this. The argument is that we have issues of inflation and our CD depreciating because of the demand for the dollar. And the demand is happening here in our market. Let's prevent that dollar from even entering our territory for that demand to be on the dollar. That dollar we are going to get from the gold, everything, the operations, everything should happen up there in the sky. It should not affect us here in any way. So central bank will not be bothered in any way that we are going to release dollars for the purchase of crude oil or even for finished products of the petroleum product. So our gold goes to Dubai. Someone collects the gold there and gives us petrol. We have not sold our gold necessarily to collect dollars to buy petrol.
You have. I mean, this is all semantics. What you're doing is you're selling. You're selling at a price. The medium of exchange is dollars. It is the dollars that are going to buy the oil. So actually, it's best you put it in building blocks. When you put it in one thing, you don't see actually what is going inside. Who is the buyer of the gold? Who is selling you the oil? Is it a gold broker? Is it a gold seller? The transparency and accountability has to be very clear. I'm not saying that this gold for oil is a bad thing. I'm not saying that. Okay. I'm just saying that it's not transparent, it's not clear, and it may not be fair to the existing players, because all you are doing is doing what you should have done long ago. The monies, the foreign exchange you collect as a country, either through Bank of Ghana or through the commercial banks, needs to be more structured, and that is all we are saying. It needs to be more structured so that people know who is getting what and when they are getting it. There's hullabaloo about inflation and forex expenses. All we are saying is that Bank of Ghana is not doing its job. That's what you're saying, because Bank of Ghana is not able to control the foreign exchange movement within the country. And what you're saying is Bank of Ghana have given up, and as such, now gold for oil is the only way we can dedicate foreign exchange to the oil industry. And the only way we can do it is if government is involved in the selling of the gold and government is involved in the buying of the petroleum products. That is what they are saying.
If issues get to a head, government needs to intervene. The government thinks at this time that our CD has gone to crazy levels with the dollar. Yeah. This is the best way to stem the tide. So the stemming of the tide is what they are doing. Do you agree that this is a way to deal with?
I don't see how because it's a zero-sum game. The amount of foreign exchange we are getting is not going to increase or decrease by this gold for oil exchange. We are still going to get gold that the foreign exchange we sell from gold coming into the country. Unless we are saying that Bank of Ghana has been very lax and PMMC has been lax in allowing people not to let the gold foreign exchange from the gold sales come into the country. So let us fix the problem. Let us fix the challenge. Let us look at the whole value chain and who is doing what and who is not doing his role properly.
I think the consideration is that when BOST brings the product in, it will sell to Go Energy or to any of the other BDCs in cedis, not in dollars. Would that not give a positive impact?
We buy everything in cedis, so I don't know why we're selling. BOST will be a BDC. You wouldn't need Go Energy. If BOST is...
They're working together.
Yeah, that means they are co-joined. But you can't have BOST selling to Go Energy, selling to the OMCs. That's not the structure that MPA runs. MPA is very simple. You have importers into the country who are BDCs. They are licensed. I don't know whether BOST now has a license to do that. Okay, so you don't know.
But Go Energy is a BDC.
Go Energy is a BDC. So if BOST is using its balance sheet to buy the oil for Go Energy, we need to look at that as well, because Go Energy is a private company and government, and the boss is a government. So why is boss using its balance sheet for a private company? It's a little confusing, but that's not the issue.
Because you speak 40,000 tons arrived on Sunday.
40,000 tons.
It's not significant.
No, it's not that it's not significant. It's about maybe.
It's an example
we
that
bring in 10 cargoes every month, so it's about a tenth of the cargoes of the consumption for the month, which is significant. I mean, if you're a player and you have 10% of this market, you must be doing something.
But they said that this is just one of many. In the coming weeks, more will be coming.
I don't have a problem. But
do you not
have they explained to you how they're buying the gold? They explained the whole structure.
So they've said, what Boss has said is that, so there are two ways. Either they give gold to someone who has petrol and is willing to do the swap.
Who will give the gold?
Ghana.
Who is Ghana?
BOG, PMMC.
BOG. And where do they get the gold from?
From PMMC.
Where does PMMC get the gold from?
From Galamsey's and all
those other. So you mean PMMC is buying the gold from the players?
Yes, in cedis.
It's buying cedis, dollars.
Yes.
It's almost the same.
And
they're buying at a certain exchange rate,
yes,
because the gold is sold at
in the international market
price, but
nobody will sell below that, even if it's in cedis.
There may be a discount. Okay. I don't know how the market works.
So
but the issue is, foreign exchange is going to be brought into the country.
No, they said that money will not come physically.
Whether it comes or not, foreign exchange, from a country's perspective, you've sold something, so the money has come in. Whether it's an offshore bank account, is irrelevant.
Okay.
You have received, as a country, you have received the foreign exchange. Now you're going to use that foreign exchange to pay for petroleum products, right?
Yes, but there's another part where they say
let me ask you a question. So what is the difference if everybody was doing his job? Because PMMC sells on behalf of all of these people, and the money comes into the banking sector. The banking sector is governed by Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana knows the foreign exchange is there. So what you're saying is that there is no restriction on what the foreign exchange is used for in Ghana right now. This is why I say we should fix the problem. We can now say that this foreign exchange that we get should be dedicated to oil.
How does the cedi depreciate? Is it not because there are few dollars being chased by lots of cedis? Okay. Is that not what the case is?
The cedi and the dollar have a relationship, and the relationship is a demand and supply relationship. The reason why the cedi depreciated heavily was because there were certain players who were not in the market that came into the market. And the reason why they came into the market was because government was very unclear as to what it was going to do when it went to the IMF, whether it was going to give haircuts or not. And as such, international players who held our local bonds started selling their bonds to get out, because they were unsure of the signal that government were giving them. So they got out of the market, and when they got out of the market, they needed foreign exchange. So there was a new player with a high demand that caused our foreign exchange to go up. There were also speculators in the market who got scared. Apart from the traders who were buying, they started buying more than they need, because foreign exchange price was going, the dollar price was going up. And you have speculators who also had some cedis and were thinking, with this government haircut IMF thing, instead of rolling over my investment in treasury bills, let me take my money out and buy dollars, so that I wait and see what government is going to do, because government were very slow in coming up with exactly what they were going to do. And this caused an additional demand which was not there in the first place. Okay. So our demand went up mainly because of these three things. Then we also had a backlog of unpaid bills, foreign exchange bills in the petroleum sector. You see, government has a timing problem. It gets foreign exchange from cocoa, from this, but it's not smooth. So although we need 400 million every month, government may get 1-point-something billion in October.
It's staggered.
It's staggered. That is why you have a reserve. That's why Bank of Ghana manages our reserve for us. Okay. And Bank of Ghana then should smoothen out these demand-supply anomalies and use our reserves to smooth it out. But sometimes Bank of Ghana is so slow, they don't know what's happening in the market. And the traders, who are the treasury players in the banks, they start buying foreign exchange for their clients, and they keep on giving the clients information that the market is short of foreign exchange. And people who have good relationships with their treasury in the banks are ahead of the game. And this causes a run on our foreign exchange. So it's better management of our foreign exchange reserves, and better management and better information coming out to the banking sector, to to the primary dealers of foreign exchange as to how government is going to ensure that there will be foreign currency, because this is the problem.
This gold for oil business, let's look at the consumer side of things.
Okay.
The man who drives to the fuel station, regardless of what the brand is, to buy fuel. If government is able to get BOST to buy fuel at a cheaper rate, according to what it is saying, because of this gold for oil business, and BOST gives that to Go Energy at a cheaper rate, Go Energy then gives it to GOIL at a cheaper rate, and then you, the driver, go to get it at a cheaper rate. Do you not think that ultimately...
This is excellent. I mean, if it can be done, it's excellent. But
that's what they say they are doing.
Let's understand what cheap oil means.
Good. So they're saying that now, won't GOIL Energy's deal force other OMCs to go down? And possibly they all start buying from Go Energy?
Unless Go Energy can supply 100% of the market, it's not a credible threat. And by the way, let us go back to the premise of cheap oil. First of all, oil that BOST will buy, oil that any other BDC will buy is at the same price. It's the same sellers who are selling oil into West Africa. You can go to buy and get a one-off deal, but you cannot get a deal consistently. You have to buy the market at the market price. It's like saying that, oh, I can buy gold at $1,000, an ounce. It's impossible. You and I know it's fraud. It can't happen. So when people say things and they tell the population, I think it's just populist talk. It's sensational that we will get cheaper oil. Trust me, I've been in this business for over 30 years. There is no cheap oil around on a consistent basis unless someone like Russia, who's going to give a discount because maybe
they want to destabilize the European market.
I don't know what they want to do. Maybe you are their friend, or remember when in the early 80s, 83 or so, Ghana went to Libya.
Please don't ask me if I remember. I wasn't here.
Oh, I see. We went to Libya, and Libya gave us a few cargoes. They are our friends. You can have friends in Venezuela. They may give you, but it cannot be on a consistent basis.
Okay.
So let's talk about what can happen.
So you see this deal? Yes, it has happened over the weekend. 40,000
I don't know
came
what
in.
has happened. 40,000 has come in.
Yeah.
We don't know the details. You and I were not there.
So you're saying that, well, it may happen one-off. It may happen twice.
Yeah, it could happen. But
constantly becomes...
All they have to do is be very clear about be transparent about the transaction. And make all the players in the transaction benefit from it. Because you see, the BDCs were given licenses to bring products into the country. The agreement is that there will be foreign currency to pay their suppliers. Whether it's government or BDCs, you will still need that foreign currency.
This is Face to Face on City TV. My name is Umar Usanda, but my guest is Alex Mould. He's former NPA boss, former GNPC boss. We're just trying to have a conversation around the government's gold for oil exchange. And you've heard his views there. But when we come back, there's an elephant, not in the room, but in the country, that people think if we fixed and stop, maybe painted it away from white to black so that it becomes a working elephant, a lot of these problems will not be happening. I'm referring to Tema Oil Refinery. He has a stint with Tema Oil Refinery before, and so I'll ask him what the problem at TOR is, or TOR is, and how we can fix it to generally fix our problems. Please stay.
It's City on the Go. You don't have to miss any of your favorite television and radio shows on City TV and City FM. Enjoy thrilling content from your world of great television and relevant radio at your convenience. Subscribe to CityTube on YouTube. Turn on your notification button and receive prompts on our live streaming sessions and new content uploads. For easy access to the CityTube page, scan the barcode on your screens. Subscribe to the CityTube page and voila! Unlimited content awaits you. Don't forget to subscribe to CityTube for amazing content from City TV and City FM.
You're welcome back to Face on City TV. My guest is former GNPC boss Alex Mould. What is the problem with Tema Oil Refinery? Because for me, we dig oil in Western Ghana. We have a refinery in Tema. We carry it through a barge on the sea or put it in a tanker or however, a pipe or whatever, and bring it to Tema, cook it, sell it. Simple job. Why do we have to go and bring oil abroad, even this whole gold matter? When we have our own oil, we are digging. We started digging in 2007 and Akufo 2008.
Okay, so we bring petroleum products in, we don't bring oil in because our refinery is not working. Okay, the Tema Oil Refinery is not working. I hear there's a new refinery that's going to come on stream sometime second quarter.
Yeah, Century Oil is a Chinese company just 500 meters or so from top.
I have no knowledge of it, but I'm sure I will visit it very soon.
It's very huge. You should go see it.
Now, Tema Oil Refinery, there's a basic problem there. Now, the basic problem is that it's a plant, and the plant is old. It hasn't been maintained in the last 20 years or 25 years very well. It has been down for the last, 10 years, consistently for more than 80% of the time. And a refinery cannot survive that way. You will make losses. A refinery needs to be going on 24/7. You cannot turn the engine off. And the challenge is that our refinery goes off because some part of the refinery is not working, and then it comes back on. People don't know, but if a refinery goes off, you need 48 hours to start it, and you have to burn new fuel to start it. That causes losses for the refinery when you have 5 or 6 shutdowns in a month. Normal refineries don't shut down.
It should be constant.
They're constant for like 18 months, and then you shut down and do a major work, or one or 2 days in that you stop and you do minor, but you don't shut the whole plant down. You shut certain parts of the plant down.
Okay.
So the problem with our refinery is that we are not serious as a country to fix the Tema Oil Refinery. Because if we were serious to fix the Tema Oil Refinery, we will bring in very serious engineering firms to do an audit on the processes and tell us exactly what is wrong. I think that may have been done by various governments. The next stage is you have to then bring in a company that is actually going to fix the problem. So you have an audit as what the problems are wrong. So if your furnace is bad, you need to change the furnace. So they'll give you a whole list of things you need to do. And you then bring a company to do that. You then cost it and say, well, this is going to cost me $400 or $500 million to do. And then as a government, because you are the sole shareholder of it, you have to decide how you're going to finance it. Are you going to use taxpayers' money, or are you going to use a loan? Is the loan going to be on Tema Oil Refinery, which is a limited liability company, or is it going to be on Ghana government? Is Ghana government going to guarantee the loan? So you have to start talking to the financial institutions as to exactly how they're going to finance it. I don't think that has been. Everybody's looking at some piecemeal. Let's spend 50 million
Fix
here.
something small here.
Let's spend 100 million. You want a boiler? Okay, we'll find a boiler. We'll look for money for you and buy a boiler. Oh, you want instrumentation? We'll look for money and buy instrumentation.
We'll do a photo shoot and say,
so we
is back.
We will not be very serious because governments have always, in my view, never been good managers of industry because it becomes political. Even though you have good managers there, they will put people there who are political, and the decisions they will make is to keep them in a job and not really on the KPIs of making the refinery a profitable going concern.
So TOR's biggest problem would be the political.
TOR's biggest problem is government.
That's political.
Government, full stop.
And because government doesn't do what has to be done. If he was a private person, he knows what to do and he'll do it.
Because government has never been really serious about doing what they have to do because it is a big initiative. You have to look for a lot of money to do it.
People may stone you for this, but are you asking for TOR to be privatized?
Well, I think government has to make a decision as to whether refining crude oil is a business government wants to be in.
It was a good business when Nkrumah was doing it.
Is it strategic enough? Is it a strategic thing that if we don't have a refinery, will we be suffering? Now, I think the answer is very clear. We won't be suffering if we don't have a refinery of our own. We won't be suffering if we don't have an airline of our own.
Should we close shop?
I'm not saying we should close shop, but Tema Oil Refinery is an asset. It has a value. So you have to decide whether you need to pump more money in to revamp it, to make it work, or whether you sell it or whether you build a new refinery there, because it has a lot of infrastructure that will cost a lot of money for somebody to build a new refinery that is already there. You have your jetty, you have your pipelines, you have your tank farms, and then now you need the actual refinery. So there's a lot of things that we call a refinery that work, but the actual
cooking of the oil
doesn't work. So let's fix that. How much is it going to cost? How much is it going to cost to fix it or replace it? It's like if you have a car, you decide whether you're going to fix it or replace it.
You are an engineer, you're a politician, you've been in the sector for long, you know the problem with Thor. What is your advice if you were to
I'm giving you my advice.
What's your advice?
My advice is
you give me options.
No, I'm giving you a three-pronged process. You have to now decide whether you will spend your money, your taxpayers' money.
No, I want to know your view. What's your view? Should we give it to a private company to run? Should we just collapse it?
I'm giving a private company to run. I don't know the terms and conditions, but you should be open to
do something like we did with Vodafone.
You should be open to
Ghana
all
Telecom
suggestions. And then you should have a team that analyzes it and say, this is the best suggestion as we speak. But you should also have a team that goes to say, this is what we want. And as a government, you have to decide whether you want to do this or not.
Do you think it's worth continuing to keep it as a going concern?
I think it's a great asset, and it should be fixed or replaced, because refining crude oil is good business, especially in Ghana, because your pricing is based on import parity. And any refinery worth its salt should make money.
The other question is, what we are digging from the belly of our earth, is it enough to serve the country so that...
It's far more than enough. And there's a good thing as well.
So it makes sense then that we can...
But let me let you know something. There is, in the petroleum agreement contracts we have something called the domestic supply requirement. So if Ghana's oil is not enough to refine, our partners are obliged under that agreement to sell us oil to refine.
Instead of taking it abroad.
But remember, whether Ghana sells its oil to Tamale Refinery, which is a limited liability company owned by government, they have to pay for it. And they have to give us financial instruments, because you see, the PRMA, the whole act that governs our petroleum revenue, says that if you do not pay the money you get for selling any crude oil in 60 days, it's an offense and you can go to jail. So if I give crude oil to Tamale Refinery, they have to give me some assurance that I'll be paid in 60 days.
And their financial capacity.
And they haven't been able to do that. So Tamale Refinery, because they haven't been able to do that, because their balance sheet is not strong, because government has not put the money in the refinery, they can't open a letter of credit.
Now we have a refinery coming up just a few meters from Tor.
Yeah.
Is that a wise thing?
A few meters from Tor or coming up?
No, I mean the one that is being built is a few meters from Tor.
So are you saying it's a wise thing to have it a few meters from Tor?
Well, to even have it in the country, to have a rival refinery.
Well, if your rival is non-performing, what rival is that? Do you see a rival? There's no rival. He's not performing. So the real question is, do we need a refinery in the country? And I think, yes, we do need a refinery in the country.
Even
we
if
need
it's
at least 100,000 barrels a day. To make any good economics, a refinery has to have some economies of scale. You can't have a refinery 10,000, 20,000 barrels. It doesn't make money.
What about the infrastructure part, where we have
the good news is, because it's close to Tamale Refinery, it's using the same infrastructure as Tamale Refinery.
No, maybe they may use different pipes. Maybe
they will use almost the same from the jetty, because it's one pipe coming from the jetty, and one pipe coming from the CBM, which is 4 to 5 miles in the sea.
So my question is, would it make practical sense for us, or is it even possible that we can bring the crude from Western Ghana to Tamale?
Yeah, you can do that easy. That's not a problem, provided you can give a letter of credit.
Okay, so it's the payment that matters, not the transportation.
You are now getting the whole problem.
I'm becoming an engineer.
Tamale Refinery's problem is financial. It's financial to fix the refinery. It's financial to operate the refinery.
And governments cannot give it the financial needs, because
government who is bankrupt, you can't even give a guarantee.
So then
you can change the law. You can change PRMA and say that Tamale Refinery can pay whenever it wants to pay.
So why don't you look at the aspect I keep pushing your way, which you are deliberately refusing to look at? What happened to Ghana Telecom in 2007?
Yeah.
Could that happen to Tor now?
Yeah, I mean,
Could you say you're giving 70% off?
yeah, you can
Even
give,
with Goyle, we
you
did
can
that.
give any percentage off if you want it to work. If somebody thinks he can invest the amount of money, but what you have to be very careful is you have to make sure that the confidence that you sign for, the person lives up to expectation. If the person is supposed to invest, he's supposed to bring the money. He's not supposed to use your money to invest like PDS and all of those one-ton schemes. He's supposed to bring the money in. So you have to have proper agreements done. You have to have a clear understanding of the roles and responsibilities, and you have to have penalties when people do not meet that.
Deliver.
The same way government will be penalized if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, because there'll be some sort of government support required. It may not be physical cash, but there may be some sort of support they need, either from regulation or from something. So everybody has a role and responsibility, and we have to make sure that if you sign up to that, you have the capability. So when we bring somebody in, first of all, we have to make sure that he has both the technical and financial wherewithal to be able to run this refinery.
No
and
Waggadre.
it's not some deal done by some politicians and some fly-by-night oil firms sitting somewhere.
Or some sheikh, some Arabian sheikh.
In Singapore, there's a hairdressing salon or something. No,
It's
none
okay,
of
it's
that.
okay, it's okay.
None
Now,
of that. We have to make sure it's a proper entity. He has a track record. He's done this before, and he can do this. And he's here to stay, not somebody who is trying to flip it. As soon as he gets it running, he will sell it and get his money and go out.
Okay.
And now we'll be left with somebody who we don't even know.
This is Face to Face on City TV. My name is Umaru Sandam, and my guest is Alex Mould. We're just talking about the sector that he has been doing when he was in government. Let's talk about the sector that he has been monitoring. I think he did not do that for the government. That's the banking sector, the financial sector. Government says that it wants us to help it, we individuals, help it get out of its financial quagmire. Is that so difficult considering that government is our agent?
Well, I think the government should explain to people how we got there, one, two, and how we intend taking us out of there, and what it has to do to get out of there. I don't think government has explained it to people. People don't know we got here because we were financially reckless and indisciplined. People don't know that. And it has to be made clear that we failed as a government to manage this economy prudently.
Doesn't matter whether they say it or not, we know they failed.
First of all, let us understand why they failed. So that, you see, it's important that organizations like yourself, City, we use your medium to educate people so that people understand that people don't think it is just politics. Because when people see people like me in front of you, and you, of course, I tell people I'm a politician.
Occasional politician.
Okay. We have to explain to people why we got there and how we're going to get out of this and what help is needed by everybody to do that. You have to be humble. I find this government very arrogant. They're telling us that it's a domestic debt exchange program. It's voluntary, but if you don't do it, somebody came and said a few days ago, your current bonds will be worthless. Is that how you treat people who were there for you when you needed them?
Subtle threats.
Yeah, you don't do that. You come and first explain to them how we got there and how we are getting out and why we're going to the IMF. You know, people see the IMF as some evil person sitting down there giving instructions and government just obeying. The IMF asks government to bring an economic performance improvement plan because you have failed. It's like you have somebody in your outfit who's not doing well, and you sit down with him with objectives and you say, you need to improve on A, B, C, D. If he doesn't know what he has to improve on, he can't. So government is supposed to come and say, you know, we will improve on this, improve on that, improve on this, and then this is how we're going to do it. The IMF will say, well, then I can help you this year, maybe next year, with your budget so that you get out of this problem. And that's why we're going to the IMF. And by IMF is saying, what you've brought doesn't fix your problem. It just fixes your problem for a year. It doesn't fix your problem going forward. So come up with a more serious economic performance improvement plan, a PIP. Come back to us with a serious one, because you're not a serious government. Now, the reason why we need the IMF as well is that the IMF doesn't really give us that much money. 3 billion over 3 years is pocket change for Ghana, okay? We need big money. We need real money to improve our sectors. We have structural imbalances in this country. we're not doing the right things. We're not putting the money. Our money is not going where the right things should be done. And it shouldn't be only government's money. Your money, my money, should go into those areas. And we have to attract investment, local investors and foreign investors, into the sectors that are going to help our structure. We have to export more. We have to stop imports of products we can produce here in this country. How are we giving incentives to investors, domestic and foreign, to invest in these sectors? These are the structural things that we should be talking.
Them.
We should talk to the IMF about. You see, the IMF should not tell us to contract as an economy. That's the wrong way to get out of this.
Are they the ones telling us to contract?
That's what I'm saying. That the plan we are taking to them is telling us we will contract.
Okay.
We should go to IMF and say, Mr. IMF, this is our plan. We want to do the right things. We want to grow our economy. We want to do this with this. But we have this little problem here that our creditors. So we need you to hold our hands so we can go to our creditors. Since you're a very credible person, and since I'm indisciplined, and I've proven to all my creditors that I'm almost bankrupt or I'm bankrupt, I need you to come and say, I am standing by Ghana. And I will stand by Ghana to get out of this, but I need your help. And one of the helps I need with you is Ghana has a problem with this budget right now. We want to spend 191 billion. We want to spend 191 billion. And then we're only going to earn, I don't know, about 100 and the gap is about 61 billion. Mm-hmm. So we're only going to earn about 130 billion. Even that 130 billion will come to it because they can't make that money. Based on the contraction that is going to happen in this economy, they can't make the 130. So that's the conversation IMF should have with them. So this 60 billion, the deficit, first of all, we government, we can reduce our expenditure by 30 billion. That is a good gesture from government.
Make a good offer.
We will reduce our expenditure because we have all these funny policy, manifesto promise policy programs that we can either halt completely, pause for a while,
or scrap.
Or scrap it as well. We can do all of that. But as a government, we have to be serious. You're a business. People don't understand. Government is a business. And you, as a business, you are in a predicament. You are bankrupt. So you have to stop doing the foolish things. And we do a lot of foolish, indisciplined things. Stop doing those and show your partners. Your creditors are your partners. Everybody who gives government money and working capital is a partner or a stakeholder. Show some remorse. Show that you're doing the wrong thing. But this government can't do it because they are so arrogant. They cannot let people know that they have failed. Although you and I know they failed, they cannot come and say, hands up, we bit more than we could chew, we failed, and we want to do this. And because of that, we're going to take 30 billion out of the spending. Who
in government is supposed to do this? Because the Minister of Finance went before the committee and said, I'm sorry.
Please. Government is not the Minister of Finance.
We've just
there's
seen
the economic management team, there's the cabinet,
who
and then there's the president.
The president should call a fellow Ghanaian's address and say...
It's not a fellow address. First of all, they should meet as a team and say exactly how they're going to get out of this and present it to Ghana. And yeah, you can let the government spokesman come and talk to us.
But that's what they did. That's what they
come and talk to us.
But that's what they did. They met, came out and said...
So you know how they're going to come out of this predicament. You know how they're going to fix the structural imbalances. You know how we're going to solve the problem.
But they're saying
they're just talking about the debt exchange. Now, if you come to me and say you want debt exchange, what are you putting on the table? What are you doing to fix the problem? Because the debt exchange is not going to fix your problem. It's a temporary patch. It's like you've got cancer and you've put a plaster on your leg and you're saying I'm better. You're not better. You have done nothing. In fact, you're even going to do worse because you haven't shown any remorse. You are spending 191 billion on what?
The minister says VAT in Accra will not see it from January.
Oh, come on. How much is that? That is not big. Look, these are all gimmicks. You are not going to see it. They should go and pack all and then give you the keys and lock them. You're going to see it. Nothing is going to change.
I've been seeing it.
They are going to still collect all the petrol that they use. They will collect half for a few months and you will stop monitoring them and they will go back. Simple harmonic motion. Human beings will move back to their mean, to exactly what they were doing
to
before.
Their habits.
Exactly, that's simple harmonic motion.
This is Face to Face on City TV. It's a harmonic moment for Alex Mould, who is my guest on Face to Face. He's worried about the position of government, the approach that the government is adopting Individual bondholders are up in arms. Pensioners say no way, do not touch our funds. Government is at a loss. It has extended the debt exchange program deadline to the end of January. But will that extension happen again, or you believe that when they come back this time around the table, they may have a discussion? When we come back, I'll ask him about how the government can get a deal from Ghanaians. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to the Effective Living Series 2023.
Another year is upon us, and we are poised to kickstart this new revolution with the utmost zeal. City TV and City FM present to you another rewarding season of the Effective Living Series. This year, the Effective Living Series will be riding on the back of the theme 2023 Starter Pack, Building Back Better. Every week in the month of January, our team of renowned experts, alongside our exceptional host Bernard Avlem, will delve into various thematic areas that have been carefully selected to cater to your holistic well-being in the coming year. Week 1 will focus on the importance of physical preparation for 2023. After that, we will take a look at emotional and mental health imperatives for 2023 in our second weekly series. Then, we will proceed to the third weekly series with emphasis on professional priorities for 2023. In our fourth and final week, we will dig into the strategic conversation on building financial foundations for 2023. The Effective Living Series will be live on the City Breakfast Show on 97.3 City FM at 9 a.m. and on Breakfast Daily on City TV at 9:30 a.m. from Monday through till Thursday. So join us and let's get ready to be equipped with practical information for building back better in 2023. The Effective Living Series is sponsored by Enterprise Insurance and Hallmark Freights and Logistics Ghana Limited.
You're welcome back to Face on City TV. My guest is Alex Mould, former NPA boss, but we are talking not NPA. We're done talking about petroleum. We're talking about the money that you have put in your bank. The bankers came to you and said that don't put the money under your pillow. The safest place is in the bank. You're going to put your money in the bank, and I put mine in the Minister of Finance's bank. I thought I was safe. Now I'm not sure. What is the way out, Alex?
First of all, the government has come up to say that we have to voluntarily relinquish our old bonds and get new bonds. Now, there are different stakeholders here. You have the financial institutions, the banks and the insurance companies who buy government bonds. Some of them, by law, they have to keep a certain amount, and some of them, because they have excess liquidity and we don't have enough securities in the market, and government is always borrowing, they lend money to government, which is supposed to be a risk-free asset in this country. We've now learned that it is not risk-free, especially when government defaults due to financial management indiscipline. We have certain bonds also. So you have treasury bills. You have treasury notes and treasury bonds. Treasury notes are short-term, 2 years to 5 years. The treasury bonds are above 7 years, and treasury bills are up to 1 day, 364 days. The treasury bills will not be affected because government needs to borrow, and it's the treasury bills that government borrows on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So treasury bills are not affected for now. Remember, Ken said for now. It means he could go there, but if he goes there, they won't have any funding avenue anymore in the world. So I doubt if treasury bills will be affected. Then you have treasury bonds, and then you have also some bonds called ESLA and Dachin, and these are bonds that the government gave irrevocable. Now let's look at the legal term: irrevocable promise that it will never take the funds, the dedicated funds that go to this. And ESLA is funded by petrol. When you buy petrol, the money goes into the ESLA account, and then part of it is given to ESLA PC, which is used to fund the bonds. There is no way legally government can touch that. They should try it. They can't touch it. So let's take those aside. The treasury bonds is something that government is asking. And now, the funny thing is that the president came up and said there will be no haircuts. Then he came back and said, for individuals, the bonds, they will not renege on the bonds. The bonds will be paid to individuals. Then he got pressure from the pension fund managers. They use the unions because pension fund managers just manage the contributions of workers like you and like me when I'm working. And those funds are managed by the trustees, and the trustees are saying that it's not our money, so it's individuals' money. So they should qualify. Since you have exempted individuals from this debt exchange, the pension contributors should qualify. After a lot of discussion and a lot of talk, and after government did the arithmetic and everything, they agreed with them. And the agreement was because they are individuals, and because we have exempted individuals,
we can't add them.
We can't add them. 2 days later, that was 24th. 2 days later, on 26th, a holiday. A holiday.
When we're enjoying picnics.
We're getting boxes. That's Boxing Day. Where's when you get presents?
Yeah.
So the government gave us a new present. And the present was individuals are going to be included in the debt exchange. So on what basis will pensioners be excluded if individuals are included? It makes no sense. They haven't thought through it. They flip, flop. They just come up after somebody wakes up with a brilliant idea. They don't think through it. I don't know who advises this.
So the Boxing Day gift flies contrary to what the president said that we should read his lips. Individual bonds will not be affected.
What the president said and what also the minister came out. Then they came up with a new memorandum, and in there it said individuals will be included. It said nothing about pensioners being excluded. In that, it said nothing. So maybe government in its goodwill will just do it on its own. By memorandum there, pensioners are not excluded. Individuals are included. And the basis of pensioners, pension contributors,
yes,
seeking redress from government to let them be part of the individuals no longer exists. So on what basis is government making individuals? And now this is a legal question. If I have one bond, and I have 3 buyers, can I decide that I'll pay this buyer and not pay the remaining 2 buyers? So that's another legal argument. Secondly, after I have novated a fund, a flow that comes to government that is dedicated to ESLA, can I renege it? You see, an agreement is a promise, and this is where people should understand. We are going to law now. This is contract. It's an agreement. An agreement is a promise, and a promise is immune to changing circumstances. So the president has to come back to tell people exactly why he wants this done.
So the issue is bigger than we are seeing it. And even at the end of January, the new extension.
But let us understand what is going to happen in 2023. And I think people have not looked through it, and the government has not really thought through it. And the IMF should sit down with government to understand it. I have said that government revenue is going to dwindle. So the tax revenue they have put there, the 50-something billion or so, they can't make it. Do you know why? First of all, banks are not going to make any profits. Because most banks, 60%, up to 60% of their assets are in treasury bonds and bills and notes. So that income is not going to be there. It's going to dwindle. Now, most of these banks make their money on funded income, and it's not going to happen. So government is going to have reduced tax income. Once government has reduced tax income, it means banks are making losses, companies are making losses. What happens when companies make losses? They lay off people. So less people are going to contribute to taxes as well because they are laid off. Okay, so let's take that out. Secondly, when people are laid off, what do they not have? They don't have income. If you don't have income, you can't spend. So spending is going to reduce in the country. If spending reduces in our country, government is not going to get VAT and all of that. That means also that companies that are producing will be producing less because spending has gone down. If companies are producing less, they will also lay off people because they bring in people to produce higher. After a certain amount, they let people go off. That means they also will be making some losses. That means they won't be importing that much. That means that the import duties and excise duties that government expected will not be coming up. You see, they have to model this and stress test the economy. This is what good managers of economies do. They have to be good managers of businesses. Because before you become a good manager of our economy, we shouldn't let people who have not done anything just come and manage our economy. Tell us that this is going to happen. The EMT, who are in the EMT, they say, watch our team. The only people names that we know. What have they done before? This is a question you should ask. And every citizen of Ghana should question who is managing the economy. What caliber is he bringing? What is he bringing to the table? What has he done before?
What would this, or where would this leave our banking sector? Collapsed or stronger?
Definitely. I mean, that 15 billion which is unfunded, by the way, that they say there's a fund for liquidity, is not going to be enough. You use 25 billion to solve a 9 billion problem. This problem is going to be bigger. How much are you going to use? You do simple proportion. You did it in class 4. Simple proportion. Do it and see.
I've forgotten.
You better go back to school.
Because of the doom that is spelled. But we have to go, Alex. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us and for giving us doom at the end of it. You are like a doomsday prophet. But we pray that Tofiakwa, it will not happen. It won't get to where you are saying to.
Make sure you build your cathedral and pray there.
Actually, that's also another part that we should look at. Thank you for joining us. That was Alex Mould. He's an engineer, he's a finance person, he's been with NPA, he's been with GNPC. He was my guest on Face to Face. My name is Umaru Sandamado. Thank you for joining us. Keep watching City TV. It's your world.
I passed by your favorite barbecue place and I got you something.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your pain level?
No, focus, Ayana.
Push harder.
Oh, I'm trying.
Oh, but you've got to try harder.
I can't. What I think is happening here is the usual bureaucratic nonsense.
They forced their way into the patient's room.
What? And they held the treatment over his head, sir. And you're not going to stop until you destroy everything that is good and decent about this hospital. I'm just lost for words.
Thank you for rescuing me from that accident.
My name is Gina, and this salon is where I work.
Good morning. Hey, morning. You've already met your new colleague, have you?
Who burst this Kujubisi? He fell from the sky.
I'm so glad there's a man amongst you. You ladies gossip too much.
Hey, girls.
Today, Madam came in with a hot, sexy guy. And they were doing lobby.
Hey. Did Madam think men don't gossip?
The grapevine lands on my lap.
I've noticed a massive decline in our daily proceeds.
I suggest we fast and pray.
The spirit, Hekelabaga, told me today that I will see a man in this salon.
He said his wife is dead?
Yes, she was sick.
Hey, what sickness?
Aite,
it is your mother that will get leukemia in that. It is your mother.
I don't like what you are doing at all.
Hey, you want to fight?
Showing every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. with repeats on Friday at 10 p.m., Saturday at 6 p.m. and Sunday at 12:30 p.m. The Hairdressers is sponsored by Ebony Condoms. It's City on the Go. You don't have to miss any of your favorite television and radio shows on City TV and City FM. Enjoy thrilling content from your world of great television and relevant radio at your convenience. Subscribe to CityTube on YouTube. Turn on your notification button and receive prompts on our live streaming sessions and new content uploads. For easy access to the CityTube page, scan the barcode on your screens. Subscribe to the CityTube page and voila! Unlimited content awaits you. Don't forget to subscribe to CityTube for amazing content from City TV and City FM.
Welcome to another edition of your Effective Living series on City FM and City TV. This is your 2023 Starter Pack. In this series, we're trying to give you the right foundation for the year. In this, our third week, we're speaking about professional priorities for the year. Our topic today is very simple. What are the top skills you need, not just to survive, but to thrive in 2023 and beyond? My guest is Michael Ohiniefa. He's been on this program for the past 15 or so years with some deep insights. Michael, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Bernard, for having me.
There are few people I introduced on the show that I don't need to say what they do. You're one of them. So when I say Michael, you know who he is. He's been there, done that. He has a T-shirt. He has an African print. So it's good to have you again.
Thank you.
So, top skills for 2023 and beyond. These things keep changing. I remember the last time I saw something like this, it was for 2015. And even then, a lot of the skills on that list were not things I even knew existed when I was graduating in Legon in 2004.
That's right.
Right? Because there were things like cognitive flexibility, negotiation skills.
Yeah.
Nobody taught me those things whilst I was in Legon.
Yeah.
Of course, I probably learned some in my leadership staff. So I'm sure this list for 2023 will be very wild.
Not wildly wild.
Okay.
But a few things, a few surprises here and there.
Good.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. What are you going to talk about? What are the what is skill? Why are skills important in this current situation?
All right. So the way I've structured it, I want to dwell a bit on the context for this conversation.
All right.
Why should we be talking about it like I was saying? Why should we be discussing top skills for 2023? Why should it interest somebody who has just started work? Why should it interest a mid-career person? Why should it interest an executive? And then I'll be looking at the attitudes, because you need an attitude first before the skill. And so we'll be looking at what are the top attitudes that we need to be able to do well, excel, and climb the corporate ladder. And then we'll be doing the skills itself, and then we'll come to behaviors. Because when you have a skill, it must be expressed in what you do every day when you get to work. So what are the behaviors that you need to not only survive, but to excel in your work for 2023 and beyond?
Fantastic. So why are skills important? Why the top skills?
Very good. Now, have you paid attention to the fact that a child that is starting kindergarten today will get onto the job market in 2041? Because of about, take or leave it, 18 years or 19 years, depending upon whether they do KG or KG is 2 years or 1 year. And so you are going to enter the job market in 2041. Now, if your child is in class 1, primary 1 today, they are going to enter the job market in 2039. Now, cast your mind forward and ask yourself, how would the world look like in 2041? So that is why the skills are important, because you are going to live and work in a world that will be vastly different from what we know today. And if you want to measure that, let's cast our mind back to 20 years ago when you and I were in secondary school, and look at the world we live and operate in today. How things have come up and changed everything that we do. That is how come we need to have a conversation on the skills that we need for 2023 and beyond.
When you put it that way, it makes it even more scary. Because I don't even know. 2003, I was in level 300.
Very good.
So 20 years after that, wow.
Yeah. Look at what. Did you ever imagine that you would live in this world and the skills that you needed to be able to excel in today's world when you were in level 300? And that's the same thing that's going to happen to our children. So we need to prepare them for what is coming. And then we need to, develop, not only prepare, but to develop them and to make sure that they are going to survive. Now, to also set the context, I don't know whether you follow the work of Professor Michio Kaku. Michio Kaku is an American physicist, futurist, and science commentator. And he been working on the Moore's Law. You know the Moore's Law? That every 2 years or so, the amount of information in the world will exponentially double. So what is happening is that the world itself is changing at such a fast rate with information technology and the processes that we use in computers, that it is going to make technology very, very cheap and affordable in the next years. Now, as an example, you know the iMac?
Yes.
Yeah, the Tikopo iMac.
Yeah.
I remember those days when I was with Originate and it came and, you know, you have one, it's just like,
God. You have the biggest thing in the world.
Exactly. It has been an air conditioning when everybody was here and you needed special